With the film coming out on the 27th, or now if you prefer digital, let's run down all of the awesome Easter eggs and things you may have missed starting from the beginning. When the film opens up, there's a very neat introduction to a character we all know, Zordon. What's even cooler is that he was at one point a Red Ranger. More interestingly, the Yellow Ranger here bears a striking resemblance to our alien rangers, the Aquitar. There's much to take in during these first 2 minutes in the film, but we'll get to those later, like the Zeo crystals and Tommy being green. While the movie doesn't have our lovable Bulk and Skull in it, it does have Amanda and Harper. In Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the bullies tormented the Rangers, usually Kimberly. They were constantly in trouble during Ranger battles, sometimes coming face to face with the monsters, or even falling to pranks and mishaps. We see the same thing happen to Amanda and Harper throughout the film, so the connection could have some merit. Whether or not Amanda and Harper are supposed to be the new Bulk and Skull, you have got to see how this girl is dressed in detention. That's not a coincidence. Here's one of those blink and you'd miss it moments. We can easily see Finster, Squat, Babu, and what would appear to be an unfinished Goldar on Billy's shelf here. Speaking of random figures seen in the film, here's an original putty just hanging out on Trini's shelf. There's also a stained glass version of the saber-toothed tiger in her room seen later in the film. Jason's totaled car is actually a red Ford Ranger. Also, starting from this scene onwards, Jason is wearing a shirt that has a mention of Bulk on it. I would have never seen this one if it weren't for the internet.
Take them down to the pit.
When Alpha takes the Rangers down to the pit, there's very clearly a Scorpion that audibly moves away. This is a sly nod to another villain from the original show, Scorpina. Or could it mean the base has already been infiltrated? Alpha instructs the Rangers to aim for the center mass, which is a reference to the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where Zed's newest putties could only be defeated by hitting the Z in the middle of their bodies. While it's not ever really said what the football team's mascot is in the show, all we see is this. The supplemental material for the movie call them the Tigers. Could this be a reference to the White Tiger Zord later on? Does this also mean Tommy could take over Jason's empty spot on the team? Super Sentai, the original show Power Rangers is based on from Japan, featured every season at least one character during the 90s run that would take out an opponent with a nut shot. I'm glad to see Trini is keeping this tradition alive. Also, speaking of Trini, she later sports a shirt with the text 1973 on it. This is a reference to the birth year of the late star who was originally Trini in the series, Chui Trang. This is a pretty clear callback to anyone who has seen Ninja Storm and introduced the world to the first visorless helmets. It looked great back then, and it looks great to have the final fight of the movie be completely visorless.
Go, Power Rangers!
In case you were too busy jamming out to the original song here, you'll notice that the way the Zords run is very close to the original intro.
Jason, it's your dad. I'm looking for you. I'm downtown. I'm at Mariner Bay and Reefside. Call me back.
Both of those are cities in seasons of Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue and Dino Thunder.
I'm burning.
22 years ago, Kimberly also said this during the 1995 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
I'm burning up in here! Get my crystals!
So Rita's entire plan for the film revolves around these Zeo crystals, which is a nod to the later season Power Rangers Zeo. In it, the powers unlock a new set of Zords and suits for the Rangers, so in Saban's grand 5 sequel story, we may be getting Zeo sooner than we think. Fun fact, the Zeo crystals are why Lord Zed looks the way he does, so it would make sense to bring him in for the sequel as well. In the pilot episode Day of the Dumpster, there are many similarities to the movie. Jason hesitating when the other Rangers leave, and even the Rangers facing off for the first time in the Megazord against Goldar. Again, and this one is pretty obvious, but Rita's palace was on the moon in the original series. How she's going to go about creating it is beyond me. Other than a fun and easy cameo role here for Amy Jo Johnson and Jason David Frank, who originally played the pink and green/white Rangers on Mighty Morphin, it may also show that Tommy and Kim are still together after their lives as Rangers.
Hey, how about when you guys are to be the yellow one? Yeah, the yellow one! Aw, he's so cool! I didn't know it's a he.
This one is a fun story, but in the original series, the Yellow Ranger was actually a guy named Boy. Ironic, right? But when bringing it overseas as Power Rangers, the team needed another female lead, so they made the change which went for the most part unnoticed, other than the missing skirt. Now, this one is a bit of a stretch, but I saw it online and when I watched the film again, I couldn't help but notice it. This owl here makes any hardcore fan maybe think of Circuit from Power Rangers Time Force. What's more is I could see these images above being very crude representations of the Time Force morph. Maybe we're digging too deep into it, I don't know. And finally, this fun tease at Tommy is a guarantee for the sequel to get butts in the seats, but it actually goes a little bit farther. In the original series again, the Green Ranger was confined to another dimension where he only had limited time to leave and help the core 5 members. While Tommy isn't in any dimension for long, this did lead to many times where in the source footage there was no Green Ranger. So the writers had to devise many ways for Tommy to be either gone or preoccupied. Well, those were all the fun ones I found. Are there any more I may have missed? Leave a comment below with what you've seen on your next rewatch, and remember, the film comes out on DVD and Blu-ray this Tuesday, or you can buy it on digital today.